What we refer to as the Hornaday Wilderness is the most significant de facto wilderness remaining in probably the southern portion of British Columbia. It's wild by nature, it's got a barrier of effort. A fellow by the name of William T. Hornaday hunted here in 1905. He wrote a book called Campfires in the Canadian Rockies about the area. It's still the same today as it was when Hornaday was here. It hasn't been logged, mined, dammed, burned. It's intact. There's no land tenures back here. There's no industry of any sort. It is true wilderness. It's roadless. It's approximately about 50,000 hectares in size, I think, is give or take. It's about as true wilderness as you're going to get. It has no protection. It's maintained its wild characteristics, you know, free roaming grizzly bears, you know, a full functioning ecosystem, large predators, prey. It's got a bighorn sheep population that winters, summers, springs and falls in here in high elevation, winter range. It's a true sheep hunt because there's no roads where you can easily see sheep. Yeah, it's almost self-managed because of its remoteness, its ruggedness, its difficulty to access. We had an application in here. The BC government was pushing to try to get backcountry tenures so they could generate revenue on Crown land. So there was an application to put a horseback tours, hiking tours right here. Yeah. To capitalize on the water, the grass, the scenery, the wilderness values. And they would have put cabins, corrals, probably heli people in, heli people out all summer long. It would have been, this would have been lost for public use. Yep. You know, for the wildlife values would have been out the window for commercial values. Right. The Lands Branch, at the time that's what they were called, received more letters of opposition, because it's a public review period, received more letters in opposition than any other tenure application they had had to that point. And the Forest Service at the time, a regional manager, actually wrote a letter, and most of these bureaucrats tend to be a little bit, they want to stay out of the fray, you know? Yeah. But he wrote that Bruley Creek is the most significant de facto wilderness remaining in the Rocky Mountain Forest District, therefore we deny this application. And when he puts a stamp on it, it's denied. So we sent them packing.
I think the biggest fear is that it would be naive to think that things won't change going forward as populations increase, as industry changes. The Elk Valley's looking at a bunch of different cumulative effects right now. We've got 5 existing coal mines, other coal mine proposals on the table. There's logging, there's 3 communities that are increasing in size, more and more people come into the area. And to think that the values here won't be compromised going forward, I think it'll happen at some point, right? And one of the biggest things I think is the encroachment on the periphery of this area. Like the fact that it's wild is because there's a buffer zone all the way around it and it's hard to get to. But as we whittle away on the outsides, this little area is going to feel more and more pressure, right? There's logging here. Only 5 kilometers as a crow flies to the west are huge cut blocks, right? So if you were looking from a bird's eye view down on this place, it would look like a little oasis of green. So yeah, there's pressures here. It's just when you're standing here, you can't see them.
So now there's another attempt. Again, we're trying again. It's in a recent initiative by the Premier to create a wildlife access corridor from the Montana U.S.-Canada border all the way up to the provincial or up to the national parks. And so this area is within that, and we want to see this as a wilderness component of that wildlife access area or wildlife access corridor. So that's going to be our latest attempt, and again, we have the provincial government actually initiated that, and hopefully we're going to be able to move this through to get some form of protection on this special place, on this rare endangered place.
Yes, yeah, no, guy, eh?